Everything is rigged. Everything is finely engineered and built and rigged. It's all rigged. The swamp is rigged. It's full of smoke and mirrors. I was reading some legislative reports to the New York State Legislature on the purposely engineered, purposely designed, and purposely installed, built, and intentionally operated Dam 230, Dam A, at the Lachute River on the north end of Lake George. What's known as the pinhole in the bathtub. Now, the New York State Conservation Department, the Lake George Park Commission, refers to this Dam A. They refer to Dam A as the pinhole in the bathtub because it's been purposely engineered and operated to maximize the harnessing of the water, to maximize the profits, and to maximize the utilization of the ponded back or dammed up mill pond. Now, the legislative reports referred to the dam and this water and horsepower as the very lifeblood, of Ticonderoga, New York. How the dam is operated to maximize the number of days, the length in which the horsepower runs out of the lake. In other words, the pinhole, the highly engineered, the highly designed, the purposely constructed dam is rigged to allow the maximization of the making of money for the banks, the Glens Falls banks, and the mill operators like International Paper and Power Corporation. One more time. International Power and Paper Corporation, Systems Properties, Enel Power, Green Mountain Power, and the operators of the hydroelectric dam that harness the horsepower of the waters of Lake George using good old Dam A, the pinhole. Now, folks, the reason I'm harping on this rigged, everything's rigged dam is it is specifically engineered to make the investors as much money as possible while flooding the Lake George Lake Basin. You see, the higher that they can dam the lake means the more money they can make when they release the water. The higher the lake, the greater the profits. It's just that simple. Now, this fellow Anthony Bourdain, who apparently didn't believe in any God, and he was godless. Anthony Bourdain was a godless individual, and apparently he hung himself. And I'm seeing the news reports of it plastered all over Facebook, which is rigged. Facebook is rigged to collect and to derive and to milk the internet of all your data. That's how they make money. They use cookies and algorithms and all kinds of other ways of harnessing and collecting your information, which is being sold to marketing companies, being sold to banks, being shared with government intelligence agencies. Facebook is just like the pinhole. It's filtering out all the information that David Rockefeller's grandson, Mark Zuckerberg, can sell to his investors. Facebook is rigged. Now, to bring this into focus, as you can see, I'm sitting in the law library, and the law is rigged. Thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands, even millions of little nuances and technicalities and plays on words and tricks. The tricks of the law, the system, as they call it, is all rigged. Which brings me to another point. The fiat slavery. The creation of fractional reserve banking money, currency, scrip, legal tender, shimplaster, the creation of the fiat slavery by marking up the accounts with keystrokes on the computers and printing it out of the thin air, printing it right out of the thin air. You've got a serious problem here, folks. Very serious problem. The entire system, from A to Z, from 1 to infinity, is rigged. It's a great big swamp, and Donald J. Trump, you're using the same tactics. You're Mr. Smoke and Mirrors too, Donald J. Trump, and Jeff Sessions, William Sessions, whatever your freaking name is there, the Attorney General of the United States, is an absolute farce and an absolute joke, and it's sickening because of what they're covering up. They're covering up the crimes of not just the Bushes, they're covering up the crimes of not just the Clintons, and they're covering up the crimes of not just the Obamas. They're covering up the crimes of all their campaign contributors. The campaign contributors that use the fiat bills of credit, legal tender, scrip, the shimplasters, to buy all the elections. They're covering up for the banksters. This is what Donald J. Trump refuses to address. This is exactly what Clinton, Bush, Obama, all of them have been covering up for decades. The entire system is bought and paid for with printed up out of thin air, marked up on the computer accounts by the Federal Reserve and their member banks. The Federal Reserve and their mafia. The mafia members of the Federal Reserve and their fiat script. Their hocus pocus, imagineered money. You think I'm fooling around? Watch The Big Bank Theory by Jon Stewart in Comedy Central. Ha 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 ha! Ho 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 ho! Ben Bernanke and CBS News. They thought everybody wouldn't catch on to the fiat slavery. Now, folks, from the first $100 note, from the first $100 bill, which costs 15 pennies to print, it costs 15 cents to print and nothing to mark it up with a keystroke. But from the first imagineering, the first creating of the first $100 note, you can make endless amounts of money. These are some figures. 10,000 pennies, or 15 cents a bill. So from 10 $100 bills, you can print up 591 million in cash. Let me take that. Yeah, 591 million. plus from the first $100 bill, which is fake. So the whole system's freaking just like Dam A at the Lachute River on the north end of Lake George in New York, which Hillary and Bill Clinton know damn well where Lake George, New York is, and so doesn't Donald Trump, because Donald Trump's been up there screwing around on the lake himself with Andy Cuomo and the Rockefellers and the whole bunch of them. And folks, I'm going to tell you something about the dirt deals and the flipping, the dirt dealing and flipping, the real estate schemes and the real estate scams, and the history of the Adirondacks is absolutely full of land swindling, land scamming, and it's literally the official state business of New York. It's the official state business, and even the interstate compacts engage in violations of the takings clause of the 14th Amendment. Big real estate rackets in New York. And what's fascinating is the Swamp Fox News. Imagine that, Don Trump. Fox News. How about that, Judge Jeannie? Huh? How about that, old Jeff Sessions? The Swamp Fox News, since 1970, has been covering all the other victims. You see, ladies and gentlemen, all the other victims, there's millions upon millions of people across the United States that have been suckered and swindled and screwed and shafted by the bankster gangsters that print up all the fiat slavery and buy the whole system through the mafia of the Federal Reserve member banks, which are owned by the mafia of the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. Because you see, ladies and gentlemen, the fractional reserve banking system that the Congress of the United States has allowed to go on for way too long has bankrupted the United States more than once. And the United States is, well, owned lock, stock, and barrel by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. And the magical, fantastical operators, the highly engineered and purposely built, like Dam A, Federal Reserve. Folks, I want you to take a good, hard, long look into the reality of how the New Netherlands and New France and New Spain and New England and the New Americas, oh God, United States Government Incorporated, how it all got created right out of the thin air by decree, by fiat, and what is known as Lex Rex. The king is the law. The president generals, the high mightiness, the high mightiness of the state generals of the Dutch Empire, the English patroons, the French overlords, and of course you had the Spanish dictators. Folks, America is a great, big, huge, rigged swamp. It's the Empire State of the shin plasters. And until you people start beginning to realize that the judicial system, the legal system, is as fraudulent as the fiat currency, the shin plaster, you'll begin to realize that the Mill Pond, Lake George, New York, Mill Pond, Lake George, New York, is a highly engineered, purposely constructed, and purposely operated scam. It's a great, big, huge scam. Lake George, New York and the way it's operated has caused countless billions of dollars worth of property damage since they started manipulating the lake levels with their intentional damming of the lake. Now, who's the witnesses? The state itself. State attorney generals, state legislature, the governors, the state agencies, the district attorneys, the grand juries of the state of New York are very well aware of the fact that the pinhole in the bathtub of Dam A, the pinhole in the bathtub of Dam A, Dam 230, according to the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Look up the inspection reports on Dam 230, published all over the internet by the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Take a long, hard, close look at what Stetson Engineering, the state of New York's own engineers, and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers reports and reveals about Dam A. It's a joke. And the destruction of property all over that lake for decades is copiously, abundantly, massively in the state records. It's in the public blogosphere, if you will. It's all over the world. The story is no longer a secret. How the up and down, up and down, up and down mill ponding, the mill pond operations on Lake George, New York, destroyed huge numbers of boathouses, islands, shorelines, and marina docks. The destruction of the Witham family marina docks was caused by the up and down, up and down, up and down of Dam 230, the mill pond operations of the pinhole in the bathtub, which is all rigged, and it's a great big swamp. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I actually grew up on that mill pond at the swamp. And yes, you can go to the bank with this. The Swamp Fox News is family owned and operated since 1970. The Swamp Fox News, America's Liberty Beacon. Ladies and gentlemen, on a closing note, what Anthony Bourdain has discovered about the Clintons and the Bushes is abundantly, copiously obvious. There is so much corruption at work in the United States right now that even Donald J. Trump won't address it. Donald J. Trump will not address the massive bankster gangster raping, the raping of America. And last thing said, trillions upon trillions have vanished. Correct, Donald J. Trump? Correct, Mr. Sessions? How about it, Hillary? Let's discuss it, Bill. George Bush Sr., George Bush Jr., Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Joe Biden. Come on, Joe Biden. Let's talk about the magical, fantastical missing trillions, Joe Biden. Now, this is the Judson Witham challenge. If any of you can find inconsistencies or fake news in this video, share your comments down below. And let's have a real discussion about why the United States of America Incorporated is such a rigged septic tank, sewer, and swamp. The gangster banksters, the mafia, the member bank mafia of the Federal Reserve, International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, God bless, hasta la vista, and you betcha, we're coming back.